Hello, my name is Alec Toombs. I'm here with the Film Yap out of Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm here today with the Loneliest Boy in the World director Martin Owen and the film star Max Harwood. The movie opens in select theaters this Friday, October 14th, and will be available to stream beginning Tuesday, October 18th. Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thanks for chatting to us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you both as well. Thank you. Martin, what were some of your inspirations for The Loneliest Boy in the World?
I think for me the biggest inspiration was the script itself. You know, in terms of I read it and thought that the three writers, Brad and Piers and Emilio, did such a fantastic job. And when I first read it, I was like, oh man, these guys are so much better at writing an 80s movie than I am, and I've tried it before and I'm a terrible human being. And then I read it and I was like, and then I realized it was written in the 80s, and that was why. So that's why it's such an authentic feel, because they wrote it however 35 years ago or whatever it was. So that really attracted me to be
Max, you've been the titular character in every project you've tackled to date. You were Jamie, and everybody's talking about Jamie. You were Seagull in the short film Seagull, and you're the loneliest boy in the world in The Loneliest Boy in the World. Will you ever not be the titular character in one of your films, you think?
Yeah, I will. In my next TV project, I'm not the titular role. I don't know what's happened, but I've just been very lucky with the projects that have come my way, and timing is obviously everything. And I'm just really excited to make movies, and I think supporting roles are as important at telling the story of a title lead character. I think sometimes the lead characters, they're the star of the film, but these characters can't go on their journeys without the characters that are supporting them around them. So I'm excited to step onto some sets and do some supporting roles.
What is it about this material that appealed to you, Max?
Do you know what? I loved it because it's something I'm never going to do in my everyday life. I like to pick projects of things that are off the wall and things that Max would never do. So Max is never going to dig up a dead body, and I don't live in the 80s. And so I was very excited to be able to research, watch films, reference, and also then just actually physically get to be in spaces like graveyards for 2 weeks that I don't spend a lot of time in, and hopefully won't be spending much time in the future.
Fair. Are there any roles you really want to play, or any genres you feel like tackling in the future?
I really want to do a sci-fi fantasy film, or a dystopian drama in the vein of Handmaid's Tale-esque stuff. I'm very intrigued by high concept drama, and also excellent writing. So those probably roles in those. I also want to do a biopic of a sports star that isn't anything to do with music. I sing, so I often gravitate towards roles that involve displaying that skill. But it would be nice to I'm not a sports guy, so to play a tennis player or a swimmer or a diver or anything like that would be kind of really cool.
Nice. The Loneliest Boy in the World is a zombie movie of sorts. Do you have a favorite zombie movie?
Do I have a favorite out and out zombie movie? Do you know what? I can't lie to you. I haven't seen probably many zombie movies, so it's kind of weird to have a favorite. So probably not. And it's been kind of strange for us because I know this is a movie that includes zombies, but for me, I didn't read it as a zombie movie, if that makes sense. The zombies are just
what would you have done?
A divisive tool in our film to add the comedy element, I think. And I think it's more of a, in my eyes, it's more of a family comedy than a zombie movie. But
sure.
Everyone will sort of have their own interpretation of it, I suppose. So it wasn't in my referencing, because again, I don't have to play a zombie, so it wasn't really part of my process to look too deeply into zombie movies.
Right. Martin, welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I wasn't enjoying the interview, so I just left. No,
That's fair. You're probably thinking this is the 50th dude I've talked to today, and I'm about done with it. I understand.
I'm Max Harwood out. I'm just like, yeah, no, my Wi-Fi just dropped off.
Same question for you. I don't know if you caught me asking Max this. The movie is a zombie movie of sorts. Do you have a favorite zombie movie?
Favorite. Maybe probably not The Living Dead. Maybe I don't know. I kind of like in terms of favorite zombie content, full stop. I'm a big Walking Dead fan. I think that it's just interesting. I think with zombie films because I mean, I watch a lot of genre, so I think that it's an interesting. There's a lot of kind of subgenres within zombie films, I think, and that's what's kind of interesting. And I was kind of very much aware with this one that, you know, that, as I said, the interesting thing for me was that when directing the film, I wasn't treating the family like they were zombies. Whereas if you watch most zombie films, the crux of the film is about the fact that it's zombies or it's undead. Whereas in this, the fact that they're composing, it's almost like we don't deal with it, which I kind of like it. It's just like their face, like when Susan's face falls off when she's hiding. So she's just like, doesn't say anything, you know, or like, you know, Ben Miller's falling to bits, you know, hero. And it's just kind of like, we don't mention it. We keep focused on the Oliver story. So I know that wasn't the question you asked me. You asked me which was my favorite film, but I just have a habit of going off on one. But yeah, I think there's an interesting point that from my perspective, I treated the rest of the cast. I didn't direct them as zombies. I directed them in the same way I directed Max. In terms of like, they were just, we could have been making they could have been normal characters in the drama, and that was quite cool.
Understood. This question's for both of you. Loneliest Boy has a very cool supporting cast. Hero finds Tiffin, Ashley Benson, Evan Ross. What were these folks like to work with?
Really excellent. Actually, like, and I describe them as like a box of tricks. They all come from very different places and very different styles of acting, and they all brought their selves and their energies to the roles, and it allowed Oliver's journey to be one that was very full of lots of things. And I mean, the one thing I will say about Ashley and Evan is they literally stepped off of the plane and they were ready to go. They really, really loved the project, and it was super, super amazing to, you know, I was a huge fan of PLL. So to get to work with Ash was always like kind of really cool from being a fan. So yeah, really great.
And you, Martin?
Yeah, I think Max has said it very well. I think from my perspective, the interesting thing about the film was each actor brought a very different approach. So it's obviously each character is quite heightened, but then each actor has a very different approach and a very different style. So I think that was the most interesting thing, that we truly ended up with, you know, an ensemble piece in the truest sense of the word. And we were just very fortunate that all of the talent in the film, every single one of them was you know, a pleasure to work with and was easy to work with. And I really, and I've said this a few times, to people, my job was really easy in this film, because like they did all the heavy lifting. You know, I was just there to just slightly steer in the right direction. You know, I was very fortunate that this film couldn't have worked without a very talented cast and a very nuanced bunch of performers. So it's very lucky. I had the easiest job in the world.
You kind of addressed this earlier, Martin, before we lost you for a minute. The script does date back to the 1980s. Why is now a particularly good time to tell this tale? Also, we talked briefly about it before. Emilio Estevez was credited with the movie's story and is an executive producer on the movie. I'm assuming his involvement went all the way back to the 80s. Can you tell me, I guess, how do you make a movie with a script that old and make it contemporary?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is, even though the the environment within the film felt so authentically 80s that the themes and the story and the relatability, that side of it could have been written today. And the interesting fact was that, you know, it's a story about a young man who's dealing with grief, and that's something that everybody can relate to at some time in their life. And secondly, you know, we made this film about this, you know, isolated, lonely character, Oliver. We made it at a time when we were in lockdown, and it was kind of just us making this film and no one else was around, which was kind of this really kind of like, you know, I guess kind of ironic, kind of serendipitous timing. And, you know, and then obviously in terms of you know, Elio and Brad Piers, you know, the main thing for me, the biggest pressure of the film was really trying to deliver justice to a script that had lived with them for so long. And that was something I'd not dealt with before. It must be you write a script and it happens, or so it's a few years old, but like for it to be so old, and I really felt a kind of a duty of care to be able to try and do, you know, their screenplay justice.
You guys did do a very nice job of conveying the era, and I say that as an 80s kid. I was definitely on those Alf flashbacks throughout the movie, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Martin, I'm a huge Scott Adkins fan, and you worked with him on the intergalactic adventures of Max Cloud. What was he like to work with? Also, Adkins has a movie coming out opposite yours this week, Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday. Is it weird to have a friend or colleague's release coincide with something you were doing?
No, because I don't like Scott. No, I'm kidding. No, I think that film, I know, was a real passion project for Scott Adkins. You know, the first one, he was so heavily involved in both of those two movies. And you know, I'm really pleased that he's got it made. It's coming out. And it looks great. And you know, Scott is just one of the nicest, hardest working, funniest people that I've spent time around. You know, and I'm fortunate to consider him a friend. You know, he's a really, really underrated talent, in my opinion.
I concur. What's next for you all? Are there any upcoming projects you're at liberty to discuss?
Oh,
I can't
You're
talk
back.
about. I'm like this. I can't talk about anything. Unfortunately, I would really love to, of course, but more to come from me next year for sure.
Exciting. And Martin?
I've just recently produced a film, which I can't talk about because it's not being press released yet. So they would probably murder me. So that was interesting because it's kind of the first project that I've kind of, if you like, lead produced. So that was interesting seeing that side of it, and I actually realized how much of a horrendous person I am when I'm directing. Not horrendous, I'm a dream, but in the sense of like, it just shows you from a different perspective completely, you know, and it's really enlightening and interesting. And then I'm shooting a film. I start shooting a film January the 30th, which is an out-and-out comedy, which I can't say too much about because, again, it hasn't been press released. But yeah, I kind of start prepping for that in a couple of weeks.
Lots of work. The work is working.
Continued success to you both. The movie is The Loneliest Boy in the World. Martin, Max, thank you so much for your time. The movie will be out this Friday and on VOD next Tuesday. Gentlemen, thank you for your time, and you both have a great day.
Thanks.
You too. Thank you so much.
Lovely to meet you, mate. Really enjoyed chatting.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Take care, fellas. Bye-bye.
Bye.